Hello everybody, this is Danny from Deep South Homestead on Porch Time today. Oh guys, I'm going to tell you what, it's hot. I just came in, taking a break right now. I figure this is as good a time as any to do Porch Time while I'm taking a break, if I can stand to sit here very long. It's in the 90s right now, so we're hoping for some cooler days ahead. They're saying we're going to have some cooler weather, so we're kind of hoping for that. But anyway, today for Porch Time, I'm going to try to get this done and get back in when I get a little bit of air conditioning for a few minutes. I want to talk about a new drug. There's a new drug that's out that's sweeping the world. It ain't just America, it's the whole world. And it's affecting about I think they said about 90% of the population is hooked on this new drug. And you know, the sad part about it is it's so addictive. And you know, I don't, it's kind of hard to talk about it because it's something that we're all affected by, and that's the sad part about it. And believe it or not, it's actually mentioned in the Bible, and in a form, it's mentioned in the Bible. The drug itself is not mentioned in the Bible, but the reality of the drug is mentioned in the Bible, and it's mentioned in the book of Daniel. And you know, and I've toyed with this now for about a week, and I still really don't know the best way to approach it because even I'm affected by it. And the fact that you're sitting here with me right now, you're affected by it. And you know, I hate to see the population, the people, the way that it's affecting everybody. It's literally destroying the younger generation. It's I sit and I notice young people everywhere that's hooked on it, and I'm like, Wanda and I talk about it quite often. We're like, oh my gosh, you know, when we get to be older than what we are we going to do? Because the whole world is hooked on this drug now, and I don't know how much further it's going to go. So without carrying it on too much longer, I know you're wondering, you know, oh my God, Danny, what is this drug you're talking about? Well, it's called digital. It's a digital drug. And when I say digital drug, what I'm talking about is digital technology. It's affecting everyone. I have people asking me constantly, Danny, what is wrong with the younger generation? Well, you know, it's not just the younger generation anymore. It's my age. It's older people. It's all people now. Everybody's hooked on this digital drug. We have to know everything right now. You know, I think back about when I was younger. I think back when I was in my teens, in my 20s, my 30s. Didn't start affecting me till, I don't know, maybe I was 49, somewhere along in that area. I never had cell phones. You know, didn't think twice about a cell phone. I didn't call nobody. Nobody called me. I drove back and forth to New York going to work. I didn't have a cell phone. Just went on trips. I've been all out west and all up the East Coast, you know, all up in the mountains. I didn't have a phone. Everybody's like, well, what if you break down? Well, if I broke down, I just broke down. I mean, the phone's not going to save me. You know, so I didn't have a phone. I didn't have a computer for many years. I remember the first computer that came out, I think, that I was even familiar with was one called Tandy. Tandy come out with a computer. It had some games on it and some other things that you could do. And, you know, I bought one of them, and it was kind of fun. You know, the kids could play on it. We could play on it. We just did these little games and stuff. And Realized later on that it could be used for other things. Then the big crave came. Gateway came out. I remember the Gateway you got a box with a computer and all in it, and a tower, and it had spots on it like a cow. It was black and white spotted like a cow. And well, we got that. I think I was just turned 40 years old. I come back from New York. Well, I just got ready to go to New York, and I bought one. Or actually, my wife bought it. And, I went to New York and work. I still didn't know much about it. I came back, got to know a little bit more about it after I come back from working in New York. But, I was just amazed. You could go online. People had names just like the old CD radios used to be. Everybody had a name and a handle, if you want to call it that. And you could go on there, and if they was online, it would tell you if they was online or not, and you could talk back and forth, typing and stuff. And man, it just seemed like it was just so good. And I remember a crew I was working with, the boss of that crew, I was subcontracting out, and he come to work one day. He said, "Man, I got a telephone I can carry around with me." And we was like, "What?" He brought that thing in there, man. It's a big old case, and you unzip it, and it looked like a briefcase, and you open it up, and there's this telephone inside it, and you could plug it into the cigarette lighter or whatever. And man, he could sit there and order material for one of the jobs or something, and we thought we was like, wow, at technology, and man, right after that, it just started roller coastering here in the last, I'd say the last 15 years, 17, maybe close to 20 years. Boy, it has just roller coasted with technology. And it's a good thing, but it's become addictive, and it's become the new drug now with everybody. I mean, if you don't believe me, just look around. Everybody you see got one of these things, little phones, hold them in their hand, and it tells them anything they want to know at any moment, and they can't lay it down. Literally, many people can't even do their job because they got to have that phone. I've actually fired people on my job because they couldn't leave a phone alone. I would tell them, put it in the truck. At break, you can look at it, and at dinner, you can look at it, but do not touch it during work hours. And I'd look out there, and they'd be back out there at that truck, and looking at that phone. They go, "But Mr. Danny, so-and-so," I told them, I said, "Look, if you want to work for so-and-so, here, let me just go ahead and write your check right now. You just go on." And I'd write your check and tell them, "Get out of here." And it's destroying people. Somebody here the other day asked me a question. They said, "Man, I just don't know what's wrong with the teenagers today. I don't know what's wrong with the younger generation." I told them, I says, "Well, I know what's wrong with them. I can tell you. It's called if, then, and else." And they kind of looked at me like I was lost my last marble. And I told them, I said, all computers are programmed on if, then, and else. And the younger generation coming up has come up in the digital technology world. They don't know what it is to be without it. From the time they were born up until now, there's always been digital technology. Most of them don't know how to operate a rotary phone or anything like that. They can't. That's not in their thinking, Everything's fast or swipe or, smartphones and stuff like that. They've looked at it their whole entire life. They don't know how to think outside of it. Their mind is programmed just like that computer's programmed. And now the human mind works on if, then, and else. And because of that, the human race has become extremely limited in its ability to do things. It can only do what the computer allows it to do through its mind. And because it has become the new drug. It's a lot like monosodium glutamate. Back in the 50s, monosodium glutamate come on the market, and it come out in the form of a seasoning. They called it accent, which my daughter, funny thing, she didn't know the other day. I was talking to her about it, and she left. She went by the store and she sent us an email back and she said, "Oh my God, it's still on the shelf." And she showed us accent still sitting on the shelf, and the ingredients is monosodium glutamate. Well, you know, back in the 50s that came out, and they told everybody this is the greatest thing. It's a food enhancer. Well, monosodium glutamate is a drug. It's a drug that tricks the brain into thinking this is the best thing you have ever eaten. A lot of your fast food places put it in their foods. Lots of companies, fast food companies, lots of canned companies that put out canned goods and stuff like that. A lot of them put monosodium glutamate as an additive in it because it tricks the brain into thinking, oh my gosh, this is the best tasting stuff I've ever eaten, you know. And the digital technology world has become the same way. It has tricked the brain into thinking, oh my gosh, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. You know what I mean? It's, if you need to know anything, you can instantly find it out. Back when I was a kid, I mean, you had to go get a library card. You had to know the Dewey Decimal System. You know, you had to be able to go to a library. You had to be able to find that book in the library and study to find it in a book. You had to hunt through the book to find what it was you was looking for. Now, if I'm watching a YouTube video and somebody says something, I go, well, I don't know if that's true or not. I can pick something up and swipe and just type something in right quick, like, and bam, within a minute, I know if they're telling the truth or not. Because we live in a digital technology world, you know. And because of that, we're hooked on it. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think now that that there's any curing it. I really don't. I've talked to people who, you know, talked about their kids, how they about freaked out because they had to spend the night without their phone. And they just was in panic mode. The next morning they got up and he's grabbed the phone and just started texting and said, oh my God, I hadn't had my phone for this many hours and I don't know how I would live without it and all this kind of stuff. Well, you know, if we had some sort of an electromagnetic pulse happen, an EMP, and there's no digital technology, yeah, this country would go bananas. A lot of people just lose their mind. They wouldn't know what to do. They wouldn't know how to communicate. They wouldn't know how to do anything. Because they're so hooked on this drug called digital technology till they can't function without it. It gives them a high. They don't realize they're on a high. We're sitting here right now, you and me, are going back and forth on this video because of digital technology. And the truth of the matter is, we're on YouTube because we're here to learn, we're here to teach. It's a drug for us too. We may not be as hooked on it as some people are. Some people go on with digital technology now. They look at all types of pornographic stuff because they're looking for a physical high, an emotional high off of it. There are those out there that can manage the digital technology because they're interested in information. They need information about how to do something. If something breaks on the car, or if they need to know how to plant something or how to harvest something, there's a video out there about it on YouTube. And for that reason, digital technology has really been a benefit to mankind. But it has its downsides as well, because it's taken away the creative side of the mind. The side that when we were kids growing up, you went outside, you built things, you created things, you made toys out of nothing with sticks and spools and soap and rubber bands and all this kind of stuff. I mean, your mind had to think, you had to be creative, you had to be inventive. With the digital technology now, a kid doesn't have to do that. They can go on, I mean, they got all these things out there called Farmville, and I mean, there's all kinds of, I don't even go in there. I'm trying to stay as far away from it as I can. But I do know these things exist where people, children can raise animals on a farm and never actually go to a farm and never actually touch an animal because they're not real. It's a fantasy world. There's fantasy football. People can go with the digital technology world and they can play fantasy football. They can bet. They can build their teams. They can do all this stuff because, it's out there. And lots of people are hooked on this stuff. Pokemon. One of the craziest things that... I don't even know about Pokemon. Pokemon, somebody told me yesterday what it meant. It's a Japanese term that meant something. And it was so off the wall that I thought, oh my gosh. But they were right. That is what it meant. And I can't, for the likes of me right this moment, I can't remember what Pokemon meant. But guys, let's try to manage our digital technology, because in the book of Daniel, the Bible speaks about that. It says in the last day, well, first of all, the Lord told Daniel that when Daniel saw the visions and stuff, he said, Daniel, shut up the book till the time. Well, my friend, the time has been revealed now, and because the Lord told Daniel, said in the last days people will be going to and fro in the earth, and we're already doing that. You can jump on a plane, you can go anywhere, any given moment. You can be anywhere in the world in a matter of hours. He said that there will be an increase of knowledge. It'd be like it was in the days of Noah. People be marrying, giving in marriage, all these things the Lord told him would happen. And when the book was opened back up, basically what the Lord is telling Daniel there is, Daniel, shut up the book until the time. And my friend, I believe the book has been opened back so that mankind can advance like the Lord needed him to, so he could go on with the end of the age. Because the increase of knowledge is definitely here now. And the Lord said that that's what would happen in the last days. So we see that this digital drug was actually mentioned in Daniel in the Bible. So guys, let's try to use our digital technology wise, and let's not let it become a drug, an addictive drug to us. Let's try to realize and get out and, like me, I don't even have a cell phone myself. Wanda has one that we bought when we traveled to Tennessee so that we could keep up with what was going on. We could live stream, we could do things like that. And we've hung on to it because she has a channel now, and the channel that she has is actually paying for the phone. It's not coming out of our pocket. Her channel's making enough to pay for it. But we use it strictly for YouTube and to keep up with some of our YouTube friends. It's not something that we don't play games on it. We don't do all this kind of stuff. It's just a cheapo, pay by the month phone, no contract. One of these things from Walmart. We're trying our best not to get caught up in this new drug called digital technology, even though we do a YouTube channel and we do use a lot of digital technology. We're very limited here in what we do. We talk lots of times, Wanda and I talk about how that our views are always way down. We can look at these other people that put up, I call it senseless stuff, because there's no content to it whatsoever. And they get, the views are just way up there. And we look at each other and go, what is up with this? Why are people looking at this stuff? And it's all because of digital technology. They've got some sort of editing programs. They've got, maybe this fancy thumbnails and clickbaits and, all these things that goes along with digital technology, all the marketing schemes and stuff like that. And that's just not who Wanda and I are. We realize that our channel probably won't grow as fast as other people's, and we probably won't get the views that everybody else gets. Because we can do a canning salsa video, and some of these other people can do the same exact video that we've done, and they'll get 5 times the views that we get because they've got this fancy thumbnail, or they've got some kind of editing program that their videos just flow so smoothly and they're so nice to look at and stuff like that. Well, guys, that's just not who Wanda and I are. You know, when you see one of our videos, you just see who we are. We don't create content. That's one thing we don't do. When we get up in the morning, we know what we're going to do that day. I'll look at Wanda and I go, well, what we're doing today, do you want to get the camera or not? You know, if you want to bring the camera along, bring it, and we'll shoot what we're doing. And we'll come back to the house for a 9 o'clock break or a dinner time. We'll come back in to fix something to eat. And we'll pull the SD card out, stick it in the computer, and upload it. And we'll look at it and say, is this something that we want to make a little video out of or whatever? If we think there's enough information on it to warrant doing that, we'll do it. If not, Wanda has her Crazy Days channel. She'll just throw some kind of little clips together and throw it up there. No fancy editing, nothing like that. It's just real life. Same thing with Deep South. What you see here on Deep South Homestead is just real life. I mean, it's reality. I'm sitting here in an old dingy shirt. I just got off the tractor. I've been pushing all morning and my pants are dirty. Still got my hat on. It is what it is. I'm not dressing up to do a video. I'm not putting on fancy clothes to do a video. I'm not trying to find some perfect lighting to do a video. With us, it is what you see is what you get. I'm not on here to be a Wrangle star or whoever. You know, we're on here to put out some information that hopefully the person can use. It's educational. We got a little small editing program we use. It's nothing fancy. We don't do all the fancy stuff on them. You know, you'll see a glitch in it every now and then. It'll be where we made a mistake and we tried to clip it and put it back together. And you might see our body jerk like this all of a sudden from one scene to the other because we had to cut it and put it back together. And we ain't got this fancy stuff that makes it just flow right into the next thing. And I don't really care about that, to be honest with you, because I'm not hooked on digital technology. I have to use it to get these videos out to y'all. And because of that, I'm grateful for it because I'm able, in some of the videos, we're able to help y'all with some of your gardening techniques and maybe give you a little information on some things. But I'm not hooked on digital technology. You know, as I've told y'all many times, if it was left up to me, I'd probably turn the camera off and never turn it back on. But because I have a burden for people in teaching and knowing that the days are getting short as far as the age that we live in. Now, I'm not saying it's the end of the world, but I'm saying the age that we live in, things are fixing to get really bad here before long. And I just want to be able to help people know how to survive if something happens. Because, I mean, Wanda and me, if I was to tell you I'm not concerned, that would be a lie. So I'm not going to say that because I am concerned. I'm concerned about how we'd make it in this extreme heat here without some sort of a way to get cooled down. You know, those are things that I think about in our old age. We can't take the heat anymore. And I'm like, what will we do? You know, how will we make it? We'll have to figure out something. If we don't have a heat stroke in the meantime, because that does happen to lots of people. And so, you know, there's a good side to this digital technology that's out there. It has its pluses and it has its minuses. It's just like any other drug that's on the market. Morphine is one of the greatest drugs that was ever invented for mankind. It can control the breathing. It can do all kinds of things. It can take the pain away from the body. It has just a miracle drug. But if it's used wrong, it's an addictive, destructive drug. You know, and digital technology is no different. If used right, it can be one of the greatest things that's ever been. But if it used wrong, it can be just as devastating to the human body as drugs are. Because one thing, it steals all your time away from doing anything. And there's tons of people out there I know that's just sitting there with a phone in their hand, waiting, because I'll guarantee you I could stop what I'm doing right now and I could go live on the internet and I'd have probably 50 to 200 people show up, and that's because they're sitting around. And I'm not condemning anybody for that, because some people may be physically incapable of getting out and doing anything, and digital technology is their world. And if that's the case, then that's another plus for it. It's a good thing. I'm just talking about people who constantly walk around, got it in their pocket looking, and they got to text somebody, or they got to do this, they got to call somebody, constantly got it to their ear. They can't work, they can't function without it. You know, you go to an office and the bosses are in there and they got them hid, and as soon as the boss walks out of the room, boy, they're up here doing this thing right here, and you know, it's addictive to some people. But to some people who maybe are shut-ins, who maybe are paralyzed or have some sort of a physical ailment where they're in a wheelchair, they can't get out and do anything, and digital technology is their world. My brother's paralyzed. Digital technology is that boy's world. And that's a good thing for him. And it's a good thing for you if you've got the same problem. But let's try to keep it where it's within its realms. You know, it's just like any other narcotic. It has to be used wisely. And let's try to make our digital technology that way. So I got to get out of this heat. I've been out working. I got to get a little cool off. I got to get back in and get cooled off a little bit where I can go back to work some more. We're trying to push and clear some land because we're looking at we're about 80% self-sufficient right now. I think 85 is going to be about tops. I don't think a person can do much more than 85. What we're deficient in is meat. We raise a good bit of our meat, but we don't raise enough. We're having to purchase some meat, and that's cutting deep into our budget because our budget is very slim. We don't have hardly any money to work with. So what we're trying to do is, now that we have this little tractor, we're trying to get out and clear some bushes down and get our land cleaned up where we can plant some grass and maybe get a few goats, maybe a calf or something to go on our property. To if we can ever afford to get the fencing, that's going to be one big issue. Fencing is so expensive. You know, we're working on that. Just a little update here on Porch Time about what's going on the homestead along with this video. You know, if we can get enough of it pushed and cleared up, we'll create some good trash piles. There'll be some good organic dirt one day. If we can get a few goats, then they'll keep the bushes eaten down out of the trash piles and keep the goats healthy at the same time. Get enough of it cleared, get some grass, and get us a little calf. We can raise our own grass-fed meat. That's our goal here at the Deep South Homestead. So I thought I'd throw that in there. You know, y'all probably see me sitting here like this. You wonder, wow, does he look like this all the time? Well, yeah, I do. So I'm going to sign off and tell you thank you for watching today. God bless you, and we love you. And thank you for watching Porch Time on Deep South Homestead today.